While he's coming up, there's another thing called shapeshift. They started to see that these different currencies, and it was being a pain in the ass, and whether they could track it or not. So they did it in Sweden, Switzerland. They got a AG approved and say, hey, it's not money, it's not fiat currency, and we don't care, and peace out. So that's why they moved it there. Shapeshift was done, doesn't matter, but what it does is that I can go in with Bitcoin or any one of these other digital currencies and come out with any other digital currency, and nobody knows I went in or out. It's money laundering for cryptocurrencies. That's what it is.
What's the name of that again?
Shapeshift.
Another one coming. Okay. Last week or 2 weeks ago, no, they look like gold. Okay, and this is the part of the, last 2 weeks ago. Yeah, pass them around. They're not what you think they are. I mean, they're plated. Anyway, met a guy who wanted to do a trade with me about a couple months back, did a trade, and then he says, oh, I got some gold, and sent me a couple pictures, and sent them to me, and then said how, met with him, and he said, oh, my grandfather died, and I got the smaller bars, and I plunked down $6 grand worth of Bitcoins in cash for him, and then I sent them out and found out that they were fake.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, well, the cool thing is that I used to be one of the brokest people I know, and now I'm able to take a $6 grand hit, and I still keep on going, and it doesn't, it was a very interesting learning experience, and I want you to look at those very carefully because and what they came in, they actually came in these cards and these things here. I'll pass this out too. So pass that down too. They came in the cards. Yeah. And that's part of the diversion is that they're in the card. So you get like a Barbie doll that's worth a lot of money and it's in the box. You don't want to take it out of the box, So that's part of the diversion of what to look for. But a couple things to look for that you want to be. I'm very aware of what's going on in the counterfeit gold area as a result of this. It's been a very interesting learning experience. So if you look at those edge on, you can see that they're not completely flat. If you look at them on the edge, if you look at them on edge this way, it's rounded at the top. Well, if this is being smashed by a 50 million ton press, it's going to be completely flat. Also, you can tell that if you look at the sheen on it, it's different in one part to the other. And then also in the part that I didn't scratch off, it's got some serrations. It's not perfect, but that's the whole scam is that they're putting them in a plastic container, so you look more at the plastic container than you do what you're buying. So anybody can be took in this, and this is one of my principal. I've been not arguing, but Peter Schiff, who I admire, he's for some reason he's got this. His brain hasn't unlocked enough to understand what this technology is all about. Because what does the government do? The three things that the government provides is they provide the money system. They provide a mechanism for recording information, and then they also provide the prison system. This is what they really provide, and everything else is just an extension of what these three things that they provide. Well, their system doesn't work because now they have this bloated prison system. The money system doesn't. They're inflating the money. So they're not providing real value to the people in the world because they can create as much as they want. Well, Bitcoin allows us to have the money system that allows us to do commerce. It allows us through some of these other cryptocurrencies like Factum to have a recording system. And now we don't need their government mandated prison systems because most of the people that are in prison are actually in there for things that they did to somehow harm the government, or they got into the hole because they couldn't pay their fee because they got a driving ticket. Now they had their car stolen, so now they got to sell drugs. When then they got in trouble for selling drugs. So it's just they multiply their problems as an effort to put people in prison. And I firmly believe that the prisons are there just to have a deterrent for the criminals at the very highest level of the government, that they can blackmail them. That's because they create all these laws that pretty much everyone is going to be breaking the law at some time. And then if you become in government, well, there's more laws you have to comply with. So eventually you're going to break the law. So now we always have something to hold over you. It's like it's a way of being able to keep the people at the top in line. And the thing that, when I first got involved in activism after I figured out that 9/11 was an inside job as a result of all the information that was out there, I became very interested in the activism movement. And so I've gradually become more and more of a full-time activist. Well, there was a point in my life when I was street peddling pocket constitutions and street peddling V-masks, and people would be looking at me going, hey, this is great information, but you're broke. I got a job, I got a new car, and I got a house, and you're riding around on a bicycle. So people, now that I've been doing this, it gives me an opportunity to every single person that I do business with, is I get to talk to them about how completely effed up the government is. And if you haven't realized this by now, you're not paying attention. The beauty of BitCoin is it makes it so blatantly obvious that the government doesn't do anything. They're a bunch of criminals. And we can demonstrate we don't need them anymore. I like the shirt the gentleman has in the back. It says, disregard the Fed. What's going to happen as we move into the future, we're really moving into a very exciting time in history, because right now BitCoin is the beginning of the rise of the machines. I run a multi-million-dollar business, and I have no employees, I have no building, I have no insurance, no taxes, no permits, nothing. Just people giving me money, and then I punch some buttons on my phone, which is a robot, and then that robot interfaces with the BitCoin robot, and it does exactly what I tell it to do. I don't need any employees, I don't need any building, I pretty much run a business off of somebody else's business. Because I go into the Starbucks, I rent the part of the Starbucks I want to have for the price of a cup of coffee, and then I do business, and then they're feeding me, they're cleaning the bathrooms, they're making sure the floors are clean, everything's taken care of for me. But just because I bought a cup of coffee, I don't have to invest in buying a Starbucks or buying a McDonald's. I'm just renting the part of the Starbucks or the McDonald's that I want to use. And then I have my business meeting there, and then we move on. I go to another Starbucks and go to another McDonald's. But the beauty of this is we get to spread the message, and we can all become wealthy with this technology. I mean, we are moving into the point in history when machines are going to be doing all the work. We can build a car with a robot. We can't build a Big Mac or build a Frappuccino with a robot. This is the direction that we're moving in. And as we have more and more robots doing work, it's going to free people up to do more of the creative aspects of life, like writing songs, doing painting, and whatever kinds of artistical things, that writing books. We're going to have more free time. And so we can use this technology. We're moving into the future. If you take a trend line, let's go back 10,000 years ago. How hard was it to live? Does anyone know? You're hungry, go kill something. You're thirsty, you better hope to God the water doesn't run out of water. Okay? Now how hard is it to live? Google, where's the nearest Starbucks? Okay? So we have this massive trend line that goes from very hard to very easy, Goes like this, and if you want to bet, you bet on the trends. If you want to bet on baseball, bet on the Yankees. They're going to win. You know, you bet on the Patriots. You bet on the Patriots. They're going to win. You know, you don't bet against the trend line. Well, the trend line is from very hard to very easy. So if we're going to in the future, it's got to be easier. Well, if there's an impediment that is in the way of things being easier in the future, you know what's going to happen to that thing? It's going to go away. It has to. You got 10, 25, how many hundreds of thousands of years from hard to easy, and it's got to be easier. Well, right now, the biggest impediment to things being easier in the future is the government and the banks. A friend of mine coined it the Borg, the banks, organized religion, and government. These are the three things in the world that are being used to restrict human intelligence, human creativity, and we can move forward into the future by using this technology.
Amen.
That's a great rant.
Really? I mean, like, come on. And here's the thing. This can be counterfeited. It's impossible to counterfeit Bitcoin. I never have to check it. The robot does it itself. So we can use, gold is good. Invest in precious metals, gold, silver, lead, and Bitcoin. And what is gold? Gold is a mechanism for being able to store work. That's what it is. You work, and then you're able to store your efforts so you can use them at a later time. Well, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a way, or let's take whiskey. When they had the whiskey rebellion, the farmers wanted to take their corn and refine it into whiskey so they could keep it and store their wealth for longer than how long corn could last. So they were storing their wealth. Well, the government said, well, you can't store your wealth without giving us a fee. Well, why? We just fought this war to be away from this criminal organization that's on the other side of the ocean, and now we got them now they're just a little closer to home. So what Bitcoin is a way of storing electricity. That's how you store it, in the form of Bitcoin. It's digital. So we're storing this electricity that the miners are doing the mining, and the miners are doing the mining, and they're solving these problems because they have, just like with gold, you have a resource and you have energy that is used to create it. Like if this was real gold, you would have to go out in the desert. It doesn't pop out of the sky into your hand. You have to go out in the desert or wherever you go and go mine it and refine it and weigh it and stamp it. That's with the energy, but it takes a human being. Well, now we have robots that are going to be doing all this work. And we have to plan for the robots to be doing more and more work in the future. This is the way it's going to go. That's what and by allowing ourselves to be the purveyors of this technology, we can all make lots and lots of money or increase our territory, because it's all about having more abundance. The earth provides everything we need, but the government and the banks and they create this artificial scarcity that we're always at each other's throats. And as we move into the future, we go through this change that you were talking about. There's going to be a transition from the current model that we're in into the future when we have unlimited abundance. Well, there's going to be people that are not going to be caught up. They're not going to want to be able to transfer from one technology to the other. So they're going to be caught in the middle. And they're going to and there's going to be this scarcity. And I believe that stuff like this is going to become even more prevalent in our society. And so you want to be able to understand how to identify who are the scam artists. Like with what I do, I'm not looking to sell everybody. I just want to have 10 to 50 people that I can do between $10 and $50 million each. That's what I'm looking for. That's it. Yeah, that's it. But that's not impossible. When I was selling cars, I was good for about $3 to $5 million a year selling cars. So you can extrapolate that out over a whole lifetime. You have to $10 to $50 million. It's not that hard to do. Explain this to people. When I talk to people, when I go to the restaurants, hey, I want to tip you in Bitcoin. What's that? Well, it's world's first international decentralized permissionless money. You don't need a permit to use Bitcoin. All you need is be able to have a phone or a smart device and be able to acquire some Bitcoins. Because in order to sell them, you got to have them. And you can start with any amount. With to sell anything, there's 4 things that have to have happen. You have to have the customer has to need the product. Well, they should need the product because the value of their dollar is going in the toilet. They have to want the product. Well, they should want our product because the value of our product's going up. And they have to understand the product, and then they have to be able to afford the product. Well, I say, hey, do you want to get some Bitcoin? I don't got any money. Do you got $1? Like,
Yeah, it's
don't
hooked up.
even give me that question because you can sell them $1's worth. Get them in the system. And then after you get them in to buy in, now they have reason to get more information. Like when we were doing DVDs and V-masks and all this, giving away stuff, people would be giving away, and I'd be selling it because I knew that if I got them to give me some amount of money, they were more likely to put that DVD in their DVD player than if they got it for free. And then plus it gives us more resources to be able to make more DVDs. So there was a method to my madness. It wasn't just I wanted to make money for what I was doing. Is I want to increase the probability that these people are going to listen to or watch the information that we were disseminating out in the world. So get them to pay for it. Then you send them some information. Get their phone number, text them. Hey, send them. We use coins. Send them any kind of information. I send them my own interview because I like hearing me, just like we all do. But the thing is give them some information, and then call them up in a couple days and go, hey, what'd you think of that? Let's go meet at the coffee shop, and then we can get more people involved so that we can take this into the future where we don't have the government because they just become like the dodo bird. They just go away.
Thank you, Morgan. Okay, what I'm going to show him here, it's called the Precious Metal Verifier. It's like $600. When I went and did a bunch of silver for Bitcoin, the guy had one of these, and every single coin, he set it for 90% silver, junk silver, those old 364 coins. He set it for that, and it has a little bracket, and that bar went good, and he did that for every single coin. Now, this would have saved you on that. You can put it in the packaging, you just set it on there, and it tells you if it's real or not, like that.